Yo guys, this is Reinhardt. So this is gonna be kind of a addition video to Dasbearjuden, the guy who actually made a post about unholy decay feedback, 2800 rated decay. So there's a lot of stuff he actually mentioned that are very good, and I actually agree with a lot of his points. I really liked it. So this is kind of addition to what I wanted to say, what unholy decays need for the Legion. So let's first of all start with our dot, which is a virulent plague. So the damage is absolutely minuscule. I mean, it ticks for what, 8.6k, like 8.6k damage on a 1.5 million HP, and it gets up to like 11k in PvP, which is not much. Like it needs to be buffed up. It needs to be buffed up to probably like 40k, to be honest. The biggest thing is the talent right over here. Virulent Plague deals damage 50% more frequently and lasts 200% longer, meaning the Virulent Plague duration gets up to 1 minute. While 1 minute is, I guess, decent, however, I don't like it. The reason why I don't like it is because, well, essentially it doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't help us that much because good decay in PvP can actually sustain that on a multiple targets. However, with this, it's basically, I think that 50% haste is decent. They can even reduce their haste down to 33%, so make it less frequent. Not twice as frequent, 33% frequent. But the damage needs to be ramped up higher. Also, he mentioned that the dot is easier to spread, while it kind of goes back and forth, because it's actually pretty easy to spread dots with a Blood Bowl as well. What I think actually needs to be done is possibly this talent out here, Wandering Plague, and basically make it so the dot does a lot more damage, but it no longer explodes. That's what I think they should make with a Wandering Plague. Basically, the dot just does way more damage, but it no longer explodes. And that all of a sudden, the PV doesn't get affected, but in PvP we actually get what we want, which is a stronger damage. And it no longer explodes, even if it no longer spreads. I'm perfectly fine with either or of those functions via Outbreak, but the dot needs to be damage increase. Second thing that he mentioned out here that I kind of want to build up on it is basically with Dark Simulacrum is a staple of a good decay versus bad decay. A good decay essentially will know how to use Dark Simulacrum. So I don't think Dark Simulacrum should be actual talent. I think it should be given as baseline. But instead here, they should bring a physical survivability against the physical damage dealers. Because quite frankly, warriors wrecked us, rogues wrecked us, hunters wrecked us. Anything that does physical damage, as soon as it touches us, we melt right away. So here, I think that what they should do is they maybe increase the Death Strike healing by like extra 4% or something. For Unholy and Frost only, not touch Blood, because Blood has shit ton survivability as it is. But make it so the strike is actually like stronger right over here. Or pick up another talent like Dust Siphon or something like that. So basically, give us a different survivability talent and take the Dark Simulacrum off of it, because it just does not belong there. This is a survivability talent here with a utility baked into it. It's not well thought out, in my opinion. So if this would be changed, that actually make quite a big difference. I still haven't found anybody who has Necrotic Strike, so I'm not sure how much absorption does it do. However, the problem we're running into is that with a Necrotic Strike, if we're gonna be stacking Necrotics, most of our damage comes from our Scourge Strikes, and Scourge Strikes with actually new Necrosis talents and rework itself are actually doing a better damage. They kind of RNG dependent now, because you're waiting for that buff to proc, but then Scourge Strike can actually get up to like decent damage via that debuff, and because right now every time with Death Coil we actually get a buff that increases Scourge Strike damage by 25%. So there you go, 178k. Like the Scourge Strike can actually create quite a bit in PvP, up to like 350k. It's a once in a blue moon. It's kind of a casino strike back from Wrath of the Lich King, but it's still not that bad. So it's not bad. So Necrotic Strike has to do equal amount of absorption to actually first of all match the Scourge Strike. But the biggest one, if we are necrotic stacking, that means that our essentially Scourge, we're not doing any other damage because everything is tied to Scourge Strike so much. So my opinion is if we're actually gonna have our dot damage increase, first will actually help us get somebody to kill. But second of all, somewhere here or somewhere here, what I want them to do essentially is I want them to rework the Soul Reaper. Instead of Soul Reaper, name it any other ability, but bring the old school Soul Reaper back. And all of a sudden we're gonna have our necrotic damage, we're gonna have our dot damage, and we're gonna have our Soul Reaper back. So Soul Reaper, I believe it has to come back via some sort of form in PvP talents alone. So probably against the Pandemic, because Pandemic feels like useless anyway. When you use Auto Break, all enemies within 4 yards afflicted by diseases take extra damage, and the duration of your diseases on them are refreshed. So I mean, it's a good for dot spreading, but again, we already covered dot spreading because the dot does not do a lot of damage. So I believe that if they put an old school Soul Reaper here, that would be perfect icing on the cake. I still need to test reanimation. I still need to test a lot of other things. So let's reiterate it before I'm gonna talk about quality of life changes afterwards. So make that do a lot of damage. Take off the spread from Outbreak. Make it some skill associated with it. Maybe make it Outbreak and make our Death and Decay spread our dots. Or something like that, where the dots not going to be as easily spreadable. However, when we actually get the dots going, they actually hit like a truck. Because there's no reason why our dots should be hitting for 8k, 8.7k, while Warrior Blades hits for 43,000. So, second thing is, here, they can rework via Wandering Plague. Bring the old school Soul Reaper back, somewhere over here. Make Dark Simulacrum baseline. Give us anti-melee survivability. Give us survivability against the melee here. Bring either Blood Presence back here, or, for DPS only, some sort of a Blood Presence variation. Or, increase the Dust Strike healing right over here via Dark Simulacrum. That way, this would make sense. It's a survivability talent tier. We can actually get some survivability going from here and move on to the next portion as well. So, with that said, the last thing we need is actually crowd control mechanics. We need, our pet stun should go back to 1 minute cooldown, 3 second stun, 4 second enrage, and we should get a Strangulate baseline back. Because we currently have absolutely no crowd control mechanics whatsoever. Picking Asphyxiate is absolutely not worth it. It's a channel, meaning we CC ourselves to CC somebody. And then Reanimation does sound like a good, it does hurt our damage, and it's easily counterable because essentially, unless we grip somebody to the ghost, and depending where the ghost spawns, like I'm not sure where exactly that zombie spawns, it also costs us Necrotic Strike. And if Necrotic Strike proves to be invaluable, then this is literally loses its flavor very, very fast. So with that said, give us Pet Stun back, give us Strangulate back. About the quality of life changes, one thing is let us heal our pets back. I have no idea why is it not there, but it needs to come back. Second thing I would say, there's a lot of bugs. For example, All Will Serve doesn't work. You don't summon the skeleton for some reason, so that needs to be addressed. Kind of these talents, I believe I want them to be more worth it for PvP, but they're not. But that's basically it. Like, we can have some cookie cutter build here. We need our all damage dealing abilities back. I'm gonna type it out and I'm gonna link it in the post below. Thank you, my friends, and stay awesome. До свидания.